They came at you. You were quite on demand as well in the second half, but you still found a way to win. How gritty and proud of the fellas?
Very proud. It's been a long time where we've probably had a win like that. It didn't have a lot of brilliance in it. It had some brilliant moments, but it largely took a grind and get in the trenches and fight our way out of it and hang in for as long as we possibly could and then just wait for our moments. And fortunately, throughout the night we probably were able to capitalise on a couple of those. Obviously, Cooper being able to go back and kick that goal was a very important one. Harry being able to finish his work. It was a pretty impressive goal with a couple of minutes left on the clock. So so when it was needed, we had a group stand up, and it wasn't just the goals. There was obviously a lot of individual acts as well that really stood out.
Your backline really seemed to stand up tonight as well. I mean, they're under, I think particularly in the second half, they had a lot of St Kilda forward forays, but they really stood up, didn't they? Yeah,
and it wasn't going to be a game that was going to be won by a shootout. If it meant we needed to defend for long periods of time, and then we were going to do that, the nature of the game with the way it played out for about 15 minutes there in the end of the second quarter, we were sort of hanging on because we had 4 or 5 guys that were either carrying something or having something assessed to see whether they could go back on. So we lost a couple, and a couple were able to return in the second half. So in the third quarter, when the speed come out of the game, we're probably okay with that. The stoppages were full, and we were quite happy for it to stay in that for a little period of time and just sort of wait for our moment. And fortunately, we were able to run at the game quite okay.
What is your casualty list looking like, Michael? How's McGovern?
Cowan will have his hamstring assessed, so he's a bit tight. We just didn't want to send him back out there. Gov will wait for the assessment in chest area. I'll just call it chest area. I couldn't give it a medical terminology right now, so that'll be assessed. Obviously, he's gone to hospital, so we'll get that assessed. Obviously Blake had the shoulder that he was managing, and Nick sort of got a kick to the back of his neck that he had to get assessed, which he was fine to return on. So, there was just a couple of moving pieces there for a while. We were sort of inventing new defenders there for a period of time. So, lucky we had Youngie on hand to go back and fill that role for us. And Chera was able to go back from mid. Cooper was able to come into the midfield, and he was able to go back, and he played a really solid game. And because he was playing a really good game for us, Ches, where he was. So for him to be able to go back and still have an impact on the game, and then for Cooper to come in was a real plus for us.
Silvani seemed to be struggling a bit with the hand or something.
No, he's all right.
Yeah.
It's sort of the nature of the game and probably how hard it was. He was fine. He's got through the game really well. Look, his hand's not going to be perfect for probably a couple of weeks, so he's going to have a little bit there, but no, there's no risk at all. He's perfectly fine.
And for your second win in a row, it was Harry Mackay that really stood tall again. It seemed like he had the biggest influence again, and I guess just from where he's come from to just the last couple of wins that you've had, you must just be so pleased with his turnaround, I guess.
Yeah, well, look at without talking to Harry's individual circumstances, that like Charlie and Harry are very important pieces to us. I know there's a lot of discussion around them, and we just haven't had them together for a lot of games. So we didn't have a good one last week, but the more games that play together, I feel like the back half of the year they'll hit some solid form, and they're really good again tonight. So they're helping us do a role, and they're helping us win, and they're helping lead that forward line. So they've got a brigade around them that's bringing some really good pressure and giving themselves opportunity. So look, really particularly pleasing for Harry, but to have him out there sort of helps us in our team dynamics and helps us with the way that we play. And clearly he's a very good player and a very important person to us.
What's in this week like for you guys, Michael? Obviously a slightly unique look with Spud's game. How did you guys as a club buy into that? It's obviously a very special occasion for a great cause.
Yeah, it is. Look, we're really privileged that we get chosen to be part of these games. We're in a sort of really fortunate position at the moment, and probably have to thank our supporters and our members and people who watch us, because we get a chance to be able to play in a Peter Mac game, and that has a real impact on a lot of people. The Royal Children's Hospital is something that we're part of, and part of North Melbourne's journey on that. Today, Saints chose us to be part of that journey as well and spread that message and, take care of your mates and leave no one alone. And, if this is the vehicle that we get to be able to spread that message, it's, that's really important to us. And so as a football club, to be able to sort of not just hopefully win games of football, but to make our community proud as well is something that's really important to us. And the players take great pride in that. So we don't walk into these games and just sort of like take it for granted. We feel really grateful that we get to be part of these games. Yep, sorry, just at the front here. Yep.
Michael, you must have been really enthralled by the ruck contest between Tom DeConing and Rowan Marshall. What were your general thoughts and assessments of how that duel played out? Tom seemed to have the better half of it, particularly up to half-time. Rowan fought back in the second half. How did you see that assessed? Yeah,
it was a great battle. Tom's been in some really good form for the year for us. He's taken on a lot of different types, and obviously Rowan in his own is a very good player. So to give him first use, but to be able to sort of get that first look, I think we won clearances, by about 10 or so. Third quarter was that arm wrestle. It was just that genuine arm wrestle. No one could sort of really get the ball going forward out of those areas. I can't imagine it was too pretty to watch, but at the same time, it was sort of the phase of the game that we needed to be able to help us finish out the game.
And on top of that, the game of George Hewitt as well must have been really impressive to watch. He's been in really outstanding form.
We had a number of guys do important roles tonight. The matchup is one thing, but to be able to play the system around it as well is important. And so having guys that can lock in and get their jobs done, but also have an impact on the game, there's a bit of an art in that. There's a craft in that. And George has had a great year. He's individually playing well, but he's doing his role amazingly well in terms of the matchups that he gets. And he doesn't get them every week, but he's certainly been a very impactful player to us. So love having him out there, that's for sure.
Nick Haynes didn't have the greatest of starts as a Carlton player, but what difference is he?
Yeah.
What difference is he making to you down back, Michael?
Yeah, I think. When you talk about Jack and Hainesy, and obviously Gov as well, they've formed a very strong relationship, and they've all got that real weapon about being able to intercept the ball. And I guess a lot of teams have put a lot of energy into Weeders around taking that off him. So he needs support around him, and now he's got it. And so when Weeders says that he trusts the man, and that's before even a ball's been bounced, you tend to listen to it, and you back that in. And Sammy Hamill's been fantastic with that back 6-7. I think I sat here a couple of weeks ago and sort of said how new they are together, and they just need time spent together. And so he's understanding his teammates. He's learning how to gel within that group. He offers something a little bit different, but he's hit some good form, hasn't he? He's hit some really, really good form, and it's by no surprise. I mean, he's a very smart footballer, and he's a very accomplished one as well throughout his own journey. So, no, we're pleased that he's playing for us.
Did you get a little bit of extra confidence coming out of tonight? You mentioned before a lot of matchups and a lot of injuries as well. Do you get a little bit more confidence out of this game in particular than what you have maybe in previous games? The fact you got to get the 4 points, but also with so many moving parts, get it done in a pretty scrappy match.
Yeah, and there was a fair bit of moving parts. I think that, like I said, I don't know. I can't remember the last game where we had to fight it out so hard and then still get the win in the end. It was just a game of persistence, and that was. At times it was sort of like stuck in that arm wrestle. We had to navigate a couple of things, and we had back-to-back 6 days. So we had 3 games in a very short period of time. We'd come off a little bit of travel. They're all just sort of factors that go into it. We've got the injuries that are happening through the second quarter. So we had to sort of take the speed out of the game a little bit just to help manage our players through periods of time. We're quite happy with the stoppages to be full. So we could sort of get our time to rest, and then we took our opportunity. So I'm just pleased that the players stood patient. We continued to execute what we wanted, and so we gave very little window for the opposition to walk through. So it was a very good performance, but a very different one to the other ones. So you get confidence out of all of them. We've now put a really good body of work together, and even when we weren't winning, there were still some great things that we were doing. Just we weren't getting the results, and we've now put together a pretty solid block of form.
The outside of that third quarter, the enormous amount of stoppages. and say that's a very St Kilda way of playing. But was it more initiated by Carlton, given how you were at half time?
No, we weren't choosing to follow. We weren't choosing to fill up the stoppage. So,
but it played into your hands, didn't it?
Well, we're happy for the game to go dead for a little while, and that's just the way that it played out. So, I don't really get into semantics about who starts what, but we were quite happy to live in that arm wrestle for that period of time, and I think it helped us run out the game.
Vince really took his opportunity.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did, and he's coming in. It's always nice when that selection pressure comes, and you got players in the VFL who are stating a case, and the last 2 weeks in particular, he's really gone after his game, taken the feedback on board. He's been patient, but he's a very impatient person at the same time. So Binge will understand that when he listens to this. But just really pleased he was able to come out and have an impact on the game, and almost kicked his two, and was still able to play his role. So which was really pleasing. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Mike.